We're going to go through some sites that we as agents can use to help gain information, education, help us with our prospecting, a variety of things. So I'm going to hit some of these. And if you have any questions about them, please don't hesitate to ask. The idea here is to share some of the things that are out there that we can already use without it being an issue, right? And in most cases, things that we are paying for already, like in our dues, or things that are absolutely free. So I'm going to show some of these sites to you real quick, and we'll go from there. All right. I'll share the screen with you. If you have anything as we go through this, please don't hesitate to ask, and we'll do what we can to help with that. So this is on the system. All right, let me get this situated. All right, let me stop this for a second. So we're going to start off with Texas Realtors website, and it's just texasrealestate.com is the site, texasrealestate.com. For those of you that are not familiar with it, there's a lot of tools in here, and this is part of your state dues that you pay for by using this. I am logged in, right? So you have to log in initially, but there's all kinds of things on here. So let me just cover a few basic things with it that we can use. One of them is you want to make sure that you're logged in. You want to make sure your profile is set up, right? And on the profile part of it, just like anywhere else, you want to have your area designated, right? So you go in here, you want all this. These are all the little boxes where you can go in and set things up. You go to edit your profile and make sure that everything you want out there is out there, right? So what area do you service? Why should I hire you as an agent? Those kind of things. And you can link any of your social media sites or anything else you have to this site as well, which is something you probably want to do. Texas Realtors actually uses this site and they advertise it. I'll show you that in a second, but they advertise this site for the public to come in and try to find real estate available in the state, and of course, agents that are available. So as you do this, you want to make sure you have a little resume in here, which, by the way, for those of you that are just getting started at this, you need a basic resume for almost every site we have available. So if you don't have that, you need to develop one. If you need help with it, you can go to Fiverr, Fiverr.com. And it's Fiverr starts at $5, but you can find somebody there that may be able to help you write a masterpiece of a resume. I have not used them for that. I know some agents that have. If you give them some bullets and they'll put it all together for you. So that can work. Market area is one of the areas I want to touch base on here, because here's this. I'll show you how the public side of this works in a second, but you want to have it by county, by zip code, by neighborhoods, right? So that if the consumer plugs something in, they can find you. And we do get leads off of this, not as many as we'd hope for off of it, but you get leads off of it. But all three of those, county, zip, and neighborhoods, are ways to generate some traffic off of it. And then, of course, linking it like you're supposed to. When I say you're supposed to, I'm talking about to your website, your Facebook, your social media sites, and et cetera. Your specialties, what do you specialize in, if anything? And put something in here. Even residential existing single family homes, you should have something in there that you specialize in. Representation, who do you represent? Buyers or sellers only? And I just recently changed this. In fact, a couple days ago. I have for years only had sellers only on here, because that's always been my focus. And I'd completely forgotten about it. And I was in here messing with it the other day, and it's like, oh shoot, let me go ahead and change this, because if I get leads, I hand them off to somebody else, depending on the area that it's in. so I figured I'd just put buyers and sellers there. If my name pops up and I get a lead off of it, we can go from there. Languages, if you speak another language, Tex-Mex is not one of them, just so you know. But if you speak another language, please put that on here because there's people that are looking for that. In the when I do the forms class, I talk about the fact that we now have Vietnamese forms, and I did not realize that that was a main part of Texas. I didn't know that there was that big of a need for forms. So if you speak any foreign language, right, any other language, put that in here. And then of course you have your designations, but you can't change that. That comes from NAR. And then you can actually view your profile and see what the public would see, which is an important part of it. You also have your zip form logins. I would not mess with this. This, as you can see here, I have it as an individual account. You can if you want to. So for what, 20 years or so, I always went to texasrealestate.com, or it used to be texasrealtors.com, and logged in the zip form from there because it kept me logged in. Now today I don't have that, but with the three different accounts that we have to use. So I still, besides the account for Corpus Christi and the Valley and all that stuff, I also have the individual account, which I use for a lot of the classes, just to mess around in. But go in and set your stuff up. You change your password. Your magazine preferences is important. Texas Realtor sends out a magazine. Where do you want it to go to? And do you want the printed version or do you want the digital version? And then your email subscriptions. If you're getting emails from Texas Realtors, rather than deleting them, go in here and tell them what you want, what you don't want. These are the ones that I like to see. I don't necessarily read them in detail, but I'll look at the highlights of it and then delete it probably. And then contact requests, where do you want them to go to? And that's designed for if a consumer goes to their website and they're looking for an agent, who do they contact? So here's what the public sees on this. When Texas Realtors markets this, right, they'll go to this, this part of it. It's texasrealestate.com. Find a realtor is one of the items they have here, affordable housing. They have a lot of things on here that the consumer can use, right? Find real estate. This is all real estate within the state of Texas, right? All the MLSs are linked to this. So that works. When I go to find a realtor, and this is why I emphasize the setting up of your profile. Let's say we plug in Mission, for example. And you can choose what you want. Representation, buyers, sellers, language spoken, everything we've talked about already, right? They can go in and the consumer can go in and select some of this. So for example, when I said I wasn't getting that many leads, like I just told you, I always had it, I have had it marked for years, seller only. So I just changed that. And then they can click on the search button and see if they can find an agent. And boom, there's one of our agents from Mission, pops up number one. And then, by the way, these rotate around. They don't necessarily come in any certain order. There's another one of our agents. There's another one of our agents. There's another one of our agents, right? So we are getting exposure on this site. And this is just through Texas Realtors. But you need to make sure that you have your profile set up. I can show you, and we'll show you real quick. This is what we don't want to have happen. She's a new agent, right? And then Shannon is a broker, but he's not tech savvy. Tanya. So this is what they'd see. And if you click on this, there's absolutely nothing there. And this agent's been in the business for a couple years. She came to us from another company. And you see there's absolutely nothing there. And we have her name and we have the office phone number. So she needs to go in and personalize that. Anybody have any questions on that one? By the way, you guys can unmute yourself and just jump in if you have anything. But I just wanted you to see, that's what the consumer sees when they log in here. That's why you getting your profile set up here at the top of it is so important. The other thing on here, Texas Realtors does everything they can to make our job a little easier, if you will. So if I scroll down here, if you've taken a class that is a certification course or a designation that's specific for Texas, right? All of that's going to be right here. So if you've ever taken a GRI class, it's going to be on the right-hand side. Your certificates are going to be there. Your education profile is going to show you what you have, what classes have you taken. And so occasionally I'll get things like, can you tell me what I need to renew my license? And that information is in here. If you want to go in and take a look at it, here's the courses you've attended. So it pulls whatever Trek has recorded. That's what shows up here. So you can go in here and take a look at that yourself and figure out what you need, or if you need help with it, let me know, right? And we can take it from there. Anybody have any questions there?
Around how many profiles do you think you have around like the websites that you use?
I have no idea, Daniel.
Too many.
Yeah. And I used to keep track of that, but I want to say it was probably about a year ago or so. I was messing around and I went to a website that I've told people to go to that I hadn't been on in a long time. And the brokerage that I had on there was one that I had left back in 2009 or something like that. And so I had to fix that. We tend to forget about them because we don't use them all the time. And that was a repo site that I'd been on. That was a repo site that I had set up before. One of the other things I want to share with you is if you go to another board or if you take online classes, this is called the Fast Pass, right? So I got there once again, I clicked on profile settings and I clicked on education, my education, and it comes down here to what is called a Fast Pass. That's what you need to log into some of the sites. You don't need to actually show an ID card. Like I'm teaching for Laredo on Thursday and Friday, and I talked to her yesterday because she's already received a Fast Pass from some agents in Dallas that are taking the classes, and she didn't know whether that's acceptable or not, and it's absolutely acceptable. What it does, it opens up and gives you your information, and that it has your picture, your NERDS number, who you belong to, as far as which board and all that stuff. So that works. If you do that on your phone, you can screenshot that and save it and send it to whoever you need for showing proof of who you are when you take a class. Any questions there? All right, so some of the other things real quick on this one. These are all things available to us, right? If we go over to legal and ethics, you'll hear me talk about that one all the time. That's where all the blank forms are. That's where the hot topics. You want to find out what's going on within the real estate business as far as the state goes. You can go in there and click on that one. Legal frequently asked questions. That's one you hear me refer to all the time. I go there a lot to see what kind of information is there. There's a laundry list of things. If you bring something up that has to do with real estate, you could probably find an answer in there. Everything from agency to contracts to FERPTA, all that, everything you need real estate is in there. The hotline is here. The legal hotline is designed, if we have a question we don't have an answer to, we can call the legal hotline. Some brokers have that restricted, but in our case, it's not. However, if you have a question, it's better to probably ask whoever the manager is of the office, myself, Norma, somebody like that, to try to get an answer for it. But I may even say what we need to do is call the legal hotline. You can call them or you can email them. And if you email them, they'll call you. They don't do anything in writing. They're attorneys, right? So they're not going to give you anything that says one way or another in writing. You also have manuals and guides, which you don't necessarily need. That's more for the brokerage side. And then you have your ethics and et cetera down here. That's all underneath the legal and ethics portion. Government affairs, you'll hear us talk about TREPAC. TREPAC is where we as agents have an opportunity to donate. You'll get that more from the board than you do anywhere else. You have an opportunity to donate to the Texas Real Estate Political Action Committee. That's what that is. And I'm running that for McAllen this year. One of the best ones I've ever been to and I love is the one that Harlingen used to have, don't know if they still do, and that's the TREPAC dessert auctions. I think they used to have that in February, right? I paid, one of the lenders named Jenny Hernandez had made a triple chocolate bundt cake. So it was a chocolate cake that was covered in chocolate, and when you cut it, it oozed chocolate. I paid $300 some for that cake and ate it all by myself. I am so proud. Really good. But that money goes to TreePack, which is political affairs, and the idea is to try to help us do some of the things. Like years ago, one of the things the state wanted to do, somebody in the state wanted to do, was tax us for the use of our vehicles because we're using them for business. And our TreePack folks went against that, lobbied against it, and we were able to defeat that. And there's also been stuff on property rights, taxing a property when it sells, things like that they fought for. So that's a big, you'll hear that from the board more than anything else. Education, you can find educational courses on here. It's a real good source for you. You can just click on find a course. You can see courses throughout the state, and most of them today are via Zoom. So you can do a search by city, you can do it by course, board, wherever you want to go. You can do it by instructor or group. So group, for example, here where it says contracts, TREC compliant. So starting February the 1st, agents have to have 3 hours of contracts courses to renew their license. If you renew after February the 1st, you have to have 3 hours. And so you can click on this and you hit submit down here at the bottom, and it'll show you which courses are being taught when. Like the one I'm teaching tomorrow meets this requirement as well. That's with Laredo. I'm going to do that for the company. I'm going to do a couple of these for the company over the next couple of months, so we can knock those out as well. But you can go in here. So those of you that's new, for example, if you talk to your CPA, you can actually probably travel to take a class and write that off on your taxes. Just you'll learn that in some of the courses. As a new agent, one of the things you need to have is 90 hours. You need 98, but 90 is going to be core courses, and we recommend that being the GRI course. If you're with GMAR, we teach that through the GMAR University, which is a pretty good deal. I teach all the GRI courses with McAllen, and I teach some for the state as well, and a lot of them for San Antonio. So a GRI class is a 4-day class. If you don't have it, that's as a new agent, you'll want to work on getting that as soon as possible, because that knocks out your 98 hours. That's underneath education. There's some other things in education. If you want to work on designations, which is something you should, as a new agent, you should be working on, in my opinion. ABR, it's accredited buyer rep, something you ought to look for. We have that at McAllen, and we also teach it at San Antonio. ABR is one of the first steps because it teaches you how to work with buyers, and that's something as a new agent you absolutely need to know. Seasoned agents will usually hand off some leads to you, so you want to be able to handle those. ABR is an important part of that. Then going up is the GRI, and then if you step on the third step up in success is CRS, which you have to have time in the business to be able to get that one, and a production level as well. And CRS stands for Certified Residential Specialist. You have specialties. If you're looking for something to specialize in, you can go in here and click on these and see what they are. You can go to research. We'll come back to that one. Your member benefits. Your member benefits, you have marketing tools in here that you can use as a realtor, right? So if I click on marketing tools, there's flyers in here that I can share. There's consumer campaigns, but the flyers is what I want to focus on. If I click on the flyer side of this, there's all kinds of things in here that I could possibly use. So for example, why should I hire a realtor? And I've used this myself as a prospecting tool. I print it off, make it a trifold, and use it as a mail out. Or print it off, carry it with you, and when you see a for sale by owner, go tape it on their door and run like heck. No, just it works as a real good marketing piece. Make sure your contact information is on it so that you can use it that way. But they have additional. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. They have additional flyers in here, and they're yours. You can take them and do whatever you need to do with them. Use them for marketing. That's the whole idea behind it, right? You want to do that. And again, that comes from member benefits underneath marketing tools. We have some others here that you can click on: technology, business, travel, extra perks. On the travel side of this, for example, we use Enterprise Rent-A-Car through Texas Realtors. Being a retired Marine, I usually companies that will give us discounts through the military. But on car rentals, for example, I can get a better discount via Texas Realtors than I get on the military side. And the same thing with hotels in some cases. But you just click on it, it'll open up. So the two car companies they have are Enterprise and National Car Rental, which is expected, kind of, sort of. All right, so then we have events. You can actually, if you click on the 3-year calendar, you can see what Texas Realtors is doing over the next 3 years. Why is that important to you? Every year in September, Texas Realtors has a convention. Every year. End of August, first part of September. And if you click on the calendar, you can see where that's going to be at. So this September, we're going to be in Houston, right? That's where it's supposed to be. And now it's not available because of all the other stuff that's going on right now, which is where a lot of us are. We're in limbo because of COVID, we're not sure what's happening with some of this. But in September, if everything's kind of normal, we'll go live, and that convention is supposed to be in Houston, right? So 2 conventions per year. One of them is Texas Realtors in September. The other one is NAR, and NAR has theirs in November, and this year is supposed to be in San Diego. And again, that depends on how this virus goes and et cetera. If not live, it'll probably be virtual, which is one of the things we're working on right now. We have what is called a winter meeting. I mean, anybody wants to attend that can attend it. It's free. And there's some classes there. There's meetings, so you can learn a little bit about why the business works the way it is. We have some agents from Mission that are involved in that winter meeting on some of the committees for the Texas Realtors. So they have that they can use. But anyway, that's underneath events. So you have things you can do there. They have past webinars on here. You can click on the past webinars. If you don't have anything going on and you just want to listen to some of the things that are out there, they have webinars for ethics, webinars for contracts. They have a variety of things on there that you can click on and pick up. Communication, we have the Texas Realtor Magazine. And a lot of times I'll pull articles from there and I'll share them with the company because sometimes agents don't read those. And there's some valuable information in there, depending on what you're trying to do. And then we have policies and et cetera. So I want to go back to the one I skipped over was research. And some of you have seen this already. But underneath the research, there's all kinds of things in here that you can take a look at. Like, for example, the buyers and sellers profile report. Buyers and sellers profile report. We have 2 of those that we pull from. One of them is Texas Realtors, one of them is NAR's. But just as an example, the things you can pull from that report would be, just as an example, home buyers in 2020, 31% of all the home buyers, right, were first-time home buyers in 2020. 31% of all home buyers nationwide in 2020 was first-time home buyers. 31%. If I know that, where should I be prospecting at? If a third of my market is first-time home buyers, where should I be prospecting? Okay, so you can hit the space bar and that will usually unmute you, or you can hit the microphone and unmute yourself. Anybody? No idea? Daniel, where would you prospect at if you're looking for a first-time home buyer?
Prospect, and by prospect you mean like kind of like let yourself be known?
Now, where would I go find a buyer that is going to be a first-time home buyer?
Probably like students.
Okay. How many students do you know that can afford to buy a home right now?
Quite a bit.
Quite a few?
I know yeah, I know quite a bit from, well, I'm pretty sure like within the next couple of years, there's going to be people that are already getting their career job. I know a lot of seniors because right now in college, I'm like on my last year.
Okay.
So I know a lot of seniors that already have their job they're already ready and they're just trying to finish up the degree. I know what's it called? People that in high school I kind of was real social, so I know a lot of people and I have a lot of people on like social media like Snapchat, Instagram, and I'm thinking from there I just like let them know, hey, on a personal level, I'm a real estate agent, and if the time ever comes that you need to or plan on getting real estate or your first home, like
Right.
I'm your person.
Okay. So what we were talking about was the profile reports and the stats. You can click on the buyer and seller and you can actually read through the entire report. I don't normally do that. I pull it from sources that already put all that information together that I need, like that one I just threw out there. 31% of the buyers for 2020 were first-time home buyers. In my mind, that translates to I need to be prospecting, and maybe you're absolutely right, and they would fit in this category. But I would be prospecting apartments, first-time home buyers. I'd be hitting apartments, and I've done that, and I know I know that's a good source. And so then when you take all this information and try to put it all together, if I'm trying to find some apartments that I can work, I can probably nail some of those down by using RPR as well, or the tax records. If you're in with McAllen, if you're with McAllen MLS, we have the real list, so we are able to pull up information in there to use. But if 31% of our buyers are in 2020 were first time home buyers, I would be prospecting apartments in a heartbeat. That's a third of your market, right? We want to make sure that we get in there. Anyway, so the other one is Market Viewer. You go in here and you click on Market Viewer, and that shows us what's going on within our market. I mentioned this the other day in our company training. So you guys most of you have already seen this. If you haven't seen it, you just click on Access to Market Viewer, and it'll take you over to the stats, and you can do it by county, you can do it by zip code, you can do it by subdivision. It gives you a ton of information. This is ran through our Texas, the real estate center at Texas A&M was what puts all these numbers together for us, because the MLSs feed into their system, and their system actually kicks out these numbers for us so that we have that information available. All right. And please remember that if you're here, if you click on the report menu, so before I do that, on the market selector, I can select my market and everything from here, right? And there's all types of ways of doing it: state, city, zip code, neighborhood, all that. That you select that. What do you want, and what do you want the numbers to be? You want them to be monthly, quarterly, annually? What are you looking for? And I can tell you, I used to put this stuff together manually. We used to have what was it called? Easy List, I think, or something like that. It's what we had as an MLS years ago. And I would manually have to go in and run the numbers and put them on paper, because I sent out a postcard every month that said, this is what's happening in Harlingen, right? Average list price, average sales price, average days on the market, all that information. There were 5 different categories that I tried to cover on the postcard, and I mailed that out to people. I was pulling that from MLS, but I was having to do it manually. You have that information in here. And just like when we talk about the market type, you can narrow it down: school district, neighborhood, right? So you have those options to narrow it down. If you go to the report side, you have a market snapshot, you have an infographic generator. Infographic, that means I can create this report and put it on my social media, Instagram and stuff, right? So you have these tools available that are real easy to use that the state provides for us. You have apartment stats, new construction stats, all kinds of stuff in here. And this is at texasrealestate.com, which is our Texas Realtors website. Any question on this one? All right. There's all kinds of things in here. You'll hear me talk about these in different classes as we go through it. One of the other ones underneath research that I like to throw out a lot of times, and normally we don't get into it until we're into it like a GRI class, but for the company, you need to know that there's a relocation report there. And on the relocation report, just to give you an idea, on the relocation report, what it tells us is, and this is from 2020, which county. So I'm going to go to Hidalgo, because most of you are from the mission office. So for Hidalgo County, for example, can you guys see that okay? So Hidalgo County, the top 5 incoming counties. So where are people moving from to Hidalgo County? Where are they coming from? And in your case, in Hidalgo County, it's going to be Cameron is the number 1. But look at that. You have Star, Cook, right? Those are all counties where people are moving from to Hidalgo. And then look at where are people going to, right? And Bexar County is which county? What city is Bexar County? San Antonio. So people are leaving Hidalgo and going to San Antonio. Do you have a connection in San Antonio? Do you have somebody up there that you can refer people to if somebody says, hey, I'm thinking about moving to San Antonio? Do you have a contact up there that you can reach out to? And then Nueces County, same thing. So that's what this helps us do, is understand where people are moving to and where they're coming from. And I've mentioned in the GRI class, one of the things I talk about is I'll look at this, like Harris County was one of the counties when I was hot and heavy in this. Harris County, which is Houston, was one of the counties that fed Cameron. So I was marketing properties to the Houston area on Craigslist, right? So if I know that there's people in Houston moving to our county, I want to make sure I reach out to them. And Craigslist is one of the ways you can do that, and it's free, right? But understanding where they're coming from so you can adjust your marketing for that as well. Any questions on that one? All right, so that pretty much covers, that's texasrealestate.com. That's our website. There's all kinds of good information in here that you can use if you want to get in and get used to using it. So the next one is nar.realtor. And again, this is one I go to quite often. So you guys, some of you may have seen this, but if I go to this website, I'm not sure why it's doing this. Let me see this. If I go to this website, I can decide what I want to look at, but education is one of them that I share quite often. Some of you may have seen that. If I go to library and archives, there's business letter templates right here that I can use for prospecting. So when I click on the business letter templates, I can come down here. They have lead generating and prospecting. They have templates right there. This is from NAR. Expired listings. I want to go to expired listings, or I want to go to I want to go after converting renters to buyers, like we were just talking about, right? So if I open that up, it's in a document form. It's going to open up on another window. But it's in a document form that's a template. So it's real easy to convert it over to something I can use, right? And all this is available through NAR. You have pre-foreclosure prospecting. Let me do a quick, I'm going to do a stop share on this so I can just show you what I'm talking about real quick. So that's what the letter looks like, right? It's a basic template. And you just click on enable it. It's not going to do it because I haven't shared probably. There you go. And now I can go in here and I can convert this. If you're using a CRM, you could probably do a merge print on this and get all this filled out the way it needs to be. But those letters are available to you through NAR's website. And again, you just click on education, click on the education, and then the library and archives. The other thing some of you see me share before, and I really like, is the when you click on the library and archives, they also have the audio books you can check out. They have ebooks or audio books. You go to the digital collection and you can check out books from NAR. NAR has a really great library staff. And if you're looking for something special, we use this as instructors. We'll reach out to the NAR library folks and ask them, hey, I need some stats on this, this, and this. And they will actually try to pull that information for you. But in the books section here, they have audio books, they have ebooks, they have videos available, and you're a member of NAR, so all you have to do is go in here and you can check these out. It's going to ask you for your NERDS number, so you'll need that, right? And your email address which library, which is NAR's library. And I don't think I'm logged in on this. I may still be. I was on here earlier messing around. Okay. So here's the books that I'm listening to right now, for example, right? This one is really good. When people ask you how your day's going, better than good, coming from Zig Ziglar, is a good response. Anybody have any questions there?
Yes, Mac, you said that you can get a hold of them to get not recommendations. Well, yeah, recommendations from subjects that you've picked up. Where do you get a hold of them? Like online?
Right. So you can go to the library section here, and if you have research article stats, you have that, or you can, if you're trying to look for numbers or some kind of stats, you can actually just call them, or you can just hit ask a question and send them an email. Say I'm trying to find this or that.
Yeah, so it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where it was on the page.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Max.
No problem. But there's all kinds of information in here. If you just take a look at it, it's there for us to use. And like I said, we as instructors use it a lot to try to help put some stats in our classes and so forth. Anyway, anybody have any other questions on this? This is NAR's website. You're free to use it. It's part of what you have available to you. And again, there's all kinds of additional tools in here, and there's benefits that go with this. So they have, NAR has, if you look at membership benefits, they have medical, they have financing, they have a variety of other things that you can get into or take a look at if you wanted to through their site. They also offer what is called Now, I believe it is, where you can get discounts on education and other things. So here's some of the realtor benefit programs. Staying in tune with some of this is really cool. Brian Buffini is one of the individuals that teaches real estate by referrals only. And in November, he offered to start the year with agents with $100 off his program, which makes it about $200, two something for the entire program, which is pretty good compared to what some of the other stuff is. And again, you have other discounts that you can go in here and click on, work through. Anybody have any questions or comments there? Like, for example, we have an our life insurance policy I picked up from one of the NAR partners years ago. Did a 15-year term with one of the NAR partners, term life insurance, which is really cheap. You're able to get it through them instead of a regular broker or whatever. Anybody have any other questions there? If not, we're going to move on. The next one is HAR.com. So if you are not on, for those of you that have experience, if you're not on HAR.com, you need to go in here and claim your site. For those of you that's new, you need to do the same thing. So you go to tools, right? I'm sorry, go to agents, and Texas Agents Claim Your Profile. It's free, right? Texas Agents Claim Your Profile. It's free. You want to do that and set it up. HAR.com is Houston Association of Realtors. Well, it depends on who you talk to. That's what I know it as. Some people will tell you it stands for homesandrentals.com, which is what they were putting out when they were trying to get everybody to join. But it stands for Houston Association of Realtors. Right? You'll see that all over the place that they work on. The Houston Realtors right there, right? But what has happened with this is years ago, Texas Realtors had a website. It was texasrealtors.com, and all MLSs fed to that. Expense-wise, HAR was trying to build a statewide MLS, a statewide website, which they've done. So what now happens is all MLSs feed to HAR.com, and then HAR.com puts a feed together and feeds it to Texas Realtors to the site where we were just at, where the public can see all the listings within the state. And if you belong to as far as I know, every MLS in the state's there might be one or two small ones that's not for some reason. Probably they opted out. That's the reason. But if you're with a franchise, it doesn't matter anyway. Your properties are there and you're going to be there. So you need to go in and make sure that you have everything set up on here so that people can find you. I'm going to just do this one more time here on this one. Let's say we want to, find a real estate agent. And let's just go to Harlingen on this one. And again, this is one of those sites where there's not a lot of agents that pay attention to it, but yet it gets a ton of activity. If you look at Houston, almost every time you do a search in the Houston area, har.com comes up ahead of Zillow, Trulia, or Realtor.com. That's how powerful they are. So you want to be in there, right? Right. So again, Remax Elite, boom, we're up there, right? There's D. Okay. So you want to make sure that you have your information in there, because if you don't, you'll look like this. Everybody good? So once again, the only part of that, the only thing you need to do is go right here to agents, Texas agents, claim your profile. Any questions there? Now they do have other programs, but you don't have to do it. It has where you can actually become a premium or platinum agent, which you have to pay for. So this works almost like Zillow. So if somebody does a search for your listing, let's say somebody does a search for homes in Harlingen, for example, you'll come up with that listing if your profile is in there. You're going to come up anyway, in most cases, but it's not going to have all your information. If you have your profile in there, you'll come up with your listing. If I'm a platinum agent, then I show up just like Zillow does. I'll show up on any search that gets done in the area type deal, right? Just like Zillow has it. So there's options there. One of the other things, and this is something I personally don't care for, but I have no control over it. They actually do ratings, and they allow the consumers to choose by the rating. So if you have a bad experience with somebody and they go in and say you're horrible, that's going to knock you down. And they use that. HARs use that for years to say only choose agents that have a 5-star rating type of deal. Which you're going to have a bad experience every now and then in this business. Sometimes it may not even be your fault. You may not have even created that bad experience for the consumer, but it'll be there. All right. Any other questions on that one? So the next site, go ahead. Do what, Daniel?
About the profiles, just to like write a little list down. So for right now, I have a Texas Realtors. I have the HAR, like you just mentioned right now. What are other little websites or places that you think is the first place you should go to create profiles?
The ones we're going to touch base on today are absolutely important because that's what the consumers are using. Realtor.com is another one that comes up. So you need to have your profile set up there on this one. And on Realtor.com, again, the same type of thing. You'll find agents. Agents are in here no matter what, right? Because they get the feed from the MLS that says, here's our agents. They get that. However, if you don't have your picture and your profile set up, your information is going to show up with a silhouette, but not your picture, your bio, or anything else. The other thing is you actually get a website on here. You actually get a website through Realtor.com that you can feed people to. And I'm not sure if I'm logged in through. Yeah, no, I'm not. So I have two different logins. I have one as a consumer and I have one as an agent on this, but you actually go in and create, it's not really a website, but it's a landing page. So you get a URL that you can use and et cetera. And then using Remax's tiny URL, you can actually customize it and make it something that you can use as a landing page for you if that's what you wanted. I've done that in previous brokerages. I've done that where I've used that landing page as my website, and it works. So on here, once again, there's all kinds of information on here that you can use to create your site and put things together. But the biggest part of it is getting in here and getting started with it, right? And you want to do that because they come up in the searches. You want to be on there. And it doesn't cost anything to have that. One of the other ones is Zillow. You do not want to, in my opinion, I don't want to pay Zillow anything. That's just me. right? But you want to have an account created here. So you go in here, go to sign in and just create an account with them, right? So that you have a basic account with them. Oh, no, zip forms. So that you have a basic account with them. Off of Zillow, because again, HAR, Realtor.com, Zillow, those are the ones that pop up most often in property searches. So when you see that, you obviously want to be there, especially if it's not going to cost you anything. So you go in and you get a profile set up on it. Zillow's making some changes in the way they do business, but generally speaking, if I go in and I do a search for a home in Mission and it's your listing, you're going to pop up next to it. If I'm a premier agent, then you may pop up at the top as the listing agent, and then I'll pop up at the bottom with two other people, and the consumer can decide who they want to go with. Most of the time, they'll go with the listing agent. At least that's been my experience. If the listing agent responds, if they don't, then they'll go to the premier agent. At least that's been my experience. I used to get 8 to 10 leads a month off of Zillow for free without paying for anything. 8 to 10 is not a bunch, but for a single agent, it works. And that's what I liked. The other part was being free on there, so that you can get that. All right, I have 3 other sites I want to touch base on real quick. Actually 4. About.me is the site that you want to go in and create a page on. And when you look at pricing, right? So free, you get a page on about.me for free, right? And you get a free link. So it'll say about.me/your name. So you create that for free. And again, that's just allowing you to get exposure, and it's a site that you can drive people to if that's something you want to do, to get connected with everything else on social media and the consumer out there. And then we have LinkedIn. Everybody talks a lot about Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and other sources of social media. LinkedIn, for those of you that are not using it, please go in and create a profile on there. Daniel, do you have anything on LinkedIn?
I'm sorry?
Candy does. You on LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, I think I do. I know for sure I have one like Glassdoor. I was helping my dad with something the other day, apply somewhere, but I was creating like my profiles as we're going through the websites.
So LinkedIn is professional, right? But they also have groups. And the other thing, the reason you need to be on there is a way you can market yourself, just like that relocation report we were looking at. We know people are moving from this area to our area. Then what I want to do is I want to go in and see if there's any groups in that area that I should be connecting with. One of the groups that I'm connected with is the Canadian referral group, because Canadians move to the Valley, right? So I want to be connected with that. And there's people in that group, there's people from Florida and California as well, that are connected in there. And the idea is to share referrals, but you want a presence on there. I would not use this site like a couple agents in Mission do, not our agents, but they use it to post websites. Post open houses and new listings. There's nothing says that you can't do that, but if you're going to do it, direct it toward some place. Don't just do a general post, right? You want to be able to get some activity off of it, so direct it towards something. If you know people are moving from Houston or San Antonio, right? People from the Valley's moving to San Antonio, so there's family members in San Antonio, right? The majority of the people that are moving from our county, from Hidalgo, are moving to San Antonio. All right. So people in San Antonio have family members in the Valley. And I can tell you that from teaching classes up there, there's a lot of those. So I would be marketing that on LinkedIn, a new listing, for example, on LinkedIn, in groups, possibly in San Antonio, or in general in San Antonio. Do you know anybody in the Valley that may be looking for a home? right? Looking for the referrals. It's a professional network, not, hey, look at what I'm having for dinner type place. Right? Any questions there? So one of the last ones I'll toss out to you, and some of you heard me mention this one before. I love this site. It's called breakthroughbroker.com. Breakthroughbroker.com. It's not one where you go in and create a profile, but it is one that you need to be connected with, in my opinion, because it saves a whole lot of time. So on breakthroughbroker.com, if you go to the menu, right? Close this out. If you go to your menu, you have marketing, lead generation, etc. So on the lead generation portion of this, you have the opportunity to hit, there's letters in here that you can use to help generate some of your business. When we talk about prospecting, you take a look at some of the letters that are in here. For those of you that are new, you should be using these letters, right? You want to use the letters. There's a letter in here called New Agent Letter. Let's see if I can get it to open up for you. There's a letter in here called New Agent Letter. And on the new agent letter, what it just basically says is, hey, look at me. I just got my real estate license. If you know anybody that might be interested in buying or selling, please get in touch with me. But they have postcards, brochures, everything. It's a template. So it's so easy to create. There's an agent in Mission right now who the other day asked me, she said she's getting ready to go walk in neighborhoods, which she hasn't done in years. And she's looking for door hangers. Or is there some other source? Well, I've used door hangers and I've used postcards. Both of those work, or a flyer even. Just print off a flyer, right? But if I wanted to print door hangers, there's a template right here that I can create real quick. And there's an agent in our Mission office that has done several of these door hangers and customized for her, right? The agent that I initially started talking about that asked me about that the other day, I said, oh, I'll just wait for Nancy Anderson to send me some rather than go in and create them. And that's fine. It's your business. I could probably create it and get it printed and be out there before I get them from Nancy, but Nancy's pretty fast about responding. So know that you have things in here. Here's a video creator tool as well, right? Now, some of this we have on Remax.net. Some of this we have on Remax.net. Let me back this up a second. If you go to the Design Center on Remax.net, there's templates in there that you can use for all of this as well. But over the years, I've gotten in the habit of using the free items. That's one of the reasons why I like this one. And for me, it's really easy to click on. Home value opinion letter. I'm marketing a subdivision. Would you like to find out what your home is worth in today's market? Right there, boom. And it's all set up. It's a template. It takes less than 5 minutes to put together. Once you build your profile in this, which takes about 10 maybe, because you have to upload logos and photos and etc. There's expired listing. There's low inventory here for you. These are the letters I was talking about. There's the magic letter. The magic letter, you'll hear me talk about that all the time. That's the one you send to a subdivision. A buyer is looking for a home in a subdivision and there's nothing on the market, which is pretty standard today, right? Nothing on the market. You send the magic letter out, and that's why it's called magic. All of a sudden, you have a listing. It works really, really well. You have a magic letter in Spanish. Buyer under contract, out of state, all kinds of them in here. There's the new agent letter that I was talking about. So I click on the link for the new agent letter, and all the years that I taught pre-licensing down at UTB, UTRGV, every class I told them the same thing. Print this letter off, know which brokerage you're going to, which all of us know, right? Print this letter off, put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, put some addresses on it, get it ready. So when your license comes in, this letter goes out. That's not me. That's based on what I've learned in the business. The very first book I bought, or one of the two that I bought in 97, was Carla Cross's Up and Running, Making Money Your First Month in Real Estate. And that was, this idea was in there, right? So we get Marianne out of there. So there's the letter. That's what it looks like, the new agent letter. You can use this letter to also let people know you've moved from one office to the next. I've got some exciting news. I joined a dynamic team, blah, 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 where, you know, and you just fill it out and send it out to people, right? And once you build your profile, I didn't do anything. All I did was click on it, right? So there's everything you need to get it set up. Just create your profile in there and go in and use it. On the left-hand side, you can choose, if you don't like the color, you can change the colors, whatever. But this is a real nice source for generating business. In Carla Cross's book, Up and Running, one of the things, and you can customize it too if you wanted to. So like, let's take that out and fix that. There you go. In her book, Up and Running, one of the things she talks about technique-wise is you send this out, and then 3 days later, you start knocking on doors or making phone calls. So you send it out to people you know, right? You send it out to people you know, and then 3 days later, you start making phone calls or knocking on doors. And if dialogue, if you're looking for some dialogue or scripts for it, you can go to mikeferry.com or zerododiamond.com. You're talking about your sphere of influence. Basically, Daniel, this is Matt. Do you have a moment? This is a business call. Do you have a moment? Sure. I sent you a letter to let you know that I just did something really exciting. And they'll usually say, well, what's that? I have a real estate license now and I'm working with Remax Elite, and I just wanted to let you know. I sent you a letter telling you that, but the bottom line, the purpose of this call is to see if you happen to know anybody that might be interested in buying or selling within, say, the next 7 to 10 days. And if they say no, you talk to them briefly about, well, what about the people you work with? What about the people you go to school with? What about the people, right? You're trying to get their brain to do a quick scan. And if the bottom line is no, is it okay if I add you to my real estate mailing list and send you something of value every month? Something about real estate in the area, what the market's doing, or how to maintain a home or landscaping, something of that nature. That's okay, right? If I add you to that? And most of the time they'll say yes. So then you're off and running, right? And that's the reason I talk about this letter all the time with new agents, to get you started with it. Any questions about that?
Mac, I haven't messed with it in a while, but I like the listing presentation and buyer package. It does have a very good information for those, and ideas, documents that you can use, and all those stuff.
Awesome. Thanks. Appreciate that. They do. With what Brian's talking about in here, you have, and again, we have a lot of this in Remax. But for me, this has been a lot simpler to use over the years. But if you go in here, you can use there's a listing presentation and a buyer rep presentation that's a PowerPoint. So you can go in and create that to use as well. You also have planning material in here, et cetera, for you also. And it's free. Right. There's brochures. One of the very first things I did in 97 was I had brochures made. That I spent money on. A lot of brochures. And I used them for my prospecting. And in fact, oh my gosh. Most of you know that I'm a retired Marine, and I spent 11 years as a recruiter for the Marine Corps. So I took some of the things that we did there and tried to use it in this business. So when we had the brochures made, I put them out in some of the local businesses. And in Harlingen, we used to have a place called Car Wash right across from the Jack in the Box. And in 97, I put a brochure, they're called we call them take ones, a brochure holder in that location, as well as several other places. As a Marine recruiter, we used to put them out at the post office even. But I put those brochures out in several locations. I had the one in Car Wash, and a former agent who's since retired, was in the same company I was in at the time, called me and goes, "Hey, you can't do this. This isn't regular marketing. You can't do this." Like, why not? Why can't I put a brochure out someplace? Well, you have to have their permission. I have their permission. I wouldn't have just put it in a business without permission. He goes, "Well, did you talk to the broker about it?" Why are you so concerned? Right? So I share that with you because sometimes you want to do something that other people are not doing. And that was one of the things that we had done at the beginning. I will honestly tell you, I don't think I got the return off of that I was expecting, but it was exposure. And that's what you're looking for with advertising, right? You want to get that exposure and use that. Those brochures where I got the biggest return at was because I sent out expired letters, 3 expired letters. And the third one would include my brochure. Just keep this for future reference in case you need anything. That I got a large return out of. Usually 2, 3 months, 6 months later, I would get the seller would call and say, "Yeah, I still get your brochure and we still haven't sold our house. And we're just wondering if you can help us." So brochures come in real handy. If you go to Breakthrough Broker, you can actually print the stuff yourself, which is what we do most of the time, or you can have them print them, or you can download them and have somebody else print them. Texas Realtors has a discount for Office Depot and someplace else. You can, if you go to the member benefits in Texas Realtors, where it had the tech tools and stuff, you can see some of the things in there that other discounts they have for you that you can use. Anybody have anything else? So those are some of the sites, Daniel. You go ahead and put those on your list and you get started on setting those up. Right? Ethan, you doing okay?
Yep.
Okay. Pretty quiet today, then. You'll be all right. All right. All right. If you don't have anything else, I need to get on zip forms and start checking contracts. Open that up this morning. There's over 30 contracts in there. You guys are hustling. All right. If there's nothing else, I appreciate you guys' time. Hope you got something out of it you can use. If you need anything, send me a text or an email, and we'll do what we can to help you.
Thank you, Mac.
Thank you, Matt.
Yes,
Mac, have a
everybody.
good day.
Thanks.